I'm Christopher Asaro, president of Holt Construction. I'm proud to announce that the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, in partnership with American Airlines, URW Airports, has announced a $125 million commercial redevelopment of JFK's Terminal 8. As the project's construction partner, Holt Construction is pleased to partner with URW to introduce our new information and technical assistance program designed to connect you to opportunities available across the 24-month redevelopment of Terminal 8, all part of the Port Authority's $19 billion airport redevelopment program that is transforming New York's airport system. Working with our partners at the Port Authority, American Airlines, URW, and Phoenix Infrastructure, we have designed a special series of programs that will help you learn more about the project, the business and contracting opportunities that are right for your company, and how your business can participate. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to partnering together.
Welcome to our session on preparing a bid on Holt Construction Packages. This session will review what you need to know and do as you prepare a bid submission. Learn from experts who understand what to include in your bid, what you need to consider to keep a profit margin, and to understand the terms and conditions of your bid response. They didn't teach this in school, so get ready to understand the art and science of bid preparation. I'm Jessica Rondash, and I'll be your moderator. Now let's introduce our panelists. Omar.
This is Omar Arawi, Senior Project Manager, Holt Construction.
George Cedeno, Senior Estimator.
Rob Cruzan, Senior Project Manager.
Jason McKay, Director of Estimating.
Wonderful. So now let's dive in. So first question, what are the key elements for your first takeoff to start your estimate? Let's start with George.
A few key elements that we look for in starting an estimate is communication, reading the qualifications, reading the RFP. We usually send out a clear direction on how we want this takeoff to start and required. And one of the key items that we're looking for is all written down in step by step on what we're looking for. So communication, qualifications, and reading the RFP.
Great. And Jason?
I would add to what George said is read the specs, detailed specs all the way through. Very important. If there's options to go to a job site visit, I would also recommend doing that also.
Wonderful. Second question, what are some things a subcontractor should take into account when bidding on airport work specifically? Rob.
Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, the SIDA badging and SWAC requirements, OSHA 30 requirements for all workers to gain access into the space. Additionally, there's the time involved in access for workers and for material. Communication on the projects is essential with these additional access requirements and coordination of material deliveries. Making sure that you have project management staff involvement ready to communicate with us, because over communication is critical to success. Building coordination, foresight into your needs and communicating those to us so we can work with facilities for drain downs and other functions that facilities requires some time to get those in place. So over communication, project management involvement is critical to your success.
And Omar, anything to add to that?
Yeah, one of the also the things that this project is a Port Authority job, so it's under the jurisdiction of Port Authority, not under the jurisdiction of the DOB. And also they have the RPW, which is basically you're going to receive with the specification. So they have to go through it and read everything. The logistics of deliveries, it's different if it's airside or landside. This is something that they have to take in account in the pricing. Airside is basically security, and they need the coordination of the escorts with badging and the Teamsters. Landside is much more easier, but they have to take in consideration closing the roads. So some of the deliveries, depends on where it is, it has to be either overnight or coordinated in advance, which is basically a day or two notice, as Rob said.
Wonderful. What are some common errors in estimating that you see on subcontractor bids? Jason, can you get us started on that one?
Thank you, Jessica. Some of the things I notice are whether they consider the downtime of the job, loss of time for labor. Another thing we see is a shift, whether it's third shift or straight time hours. And the last thing I would say is lead time on material. Because where we could start, if there's going to be some escalation costs, those are things a lot of times that subcontractors miss.
Great. George, anything to add to that?
Yes, and a few items that I look into and things that are commonly missed or errors is phasing, escorting requirements, insurance requirements, things to assemble your bid and make sure that it all comes together. Other things that I also could be errors are wrong scales on the drawings, missing scopes from your bid, some things that you're missing, like if you're an electrician, if you're missing the lights, those are things that I focus on. BMS if you're HVAC, and just base building vendor requirements. There's sometimes we have a project manual and it comes out and it has all this information that a lot of people do not pick up right away. So those are things not to are common errors.
And how about you, Omar? Anything to add to that?
Yes, I wanted to add that on the general conditions side, we would like people to take in consideration some paperwork involved in these airports. So for example, it's sometimes the Port Authority or the General Inspection Office, they ask for all the canceled checks or, to audit all the ticket work. It has to be very specific written from the paperwork side, especially on the change orders. So we would like people to take in consideration, staff, to get involved in these paperwork coordinations with us. It's a very paperwork involved jobs, and we would like them to take this in consideration in their bid on the general conditions side.
All right, great. Those are all great tips. Now, George, can you tell us what are some of the best practices for building an estimate?
One of the best practices that I tend to always to practice and teach other people that are learning in the estimating field is to keep organized, keep your files organized. You're going to want to they're going to get a lot of stuff thrown at you, especially from RFIs or addendums, questions, answers. You're going to get a lot of stuff, and it's the best thing to do is to keep yourself organized, keep your files organized, handling your takeoffs. So yes, we all have a different software that we use. I like personally using OnScreen. It keeps your file, keeps your takeoffs in order. If you want to start with different layers, you can just turn on, turn off layers. So that's the best way of doing it. Cleaning up your files right away as soon as you get that done onto your spreadsheet, your Excel spreadsheet, and just keeping yourself clean when it comes time to putting it together. The best thing to do is also to get your estimate ready as possible. If there's a bid form that we are sending out that has to be filled out, try to get that done as fast as possible, because at some point we're gonna ask you or call you just to redo it again. So that's one of the things that I look for.
Great tips. All right, so this one's for you, Jason. What are some risks to consider when building an estimate?
Some of the risks are labor rates, not knowing the proper labor rates, because this will be a certified payroll project. Also the logistics, how you're going to get your materials to the site. When can you get your materials to the site? That's very big, because not figuring enough manpower to hit the schedule that we're looking for. Just because you're cheap doesn't mean that you have the right, that you have enough to get the job done on time, because these can be liquidated damages projects. And if you cause delays, that could fall on the subcontractor, which could be devastating for a new or a small subcontractor.
Okay, great. So now next, what are some factors to consider, such as mobilization funding, terms and conditions of a bid, or anything like that? George, can you give us some factors to consider?
Right. So some of the factors is deposits. might be an item, long lead items, of course, we mentioned, that's also some items to consider. Understanding all the RFP requirements for your submissions, your job approach, your team arrangement, and the strategy. So if your demolition, obviously we're gonna have to talk to you about the strategy and logistics. If we're talking about electrical subs, we want to see how and what you're going to get your material in, how we're going to hoist it up, loading, items to consider for those factors.
Okay, great. And Rob, anything to add on some other factors to consider?
Yeah, so George talked about, access and mobilization being an issue. There's also limited storage space that you need to consider. A lot of these projects are behind barricades. This is always going to be work in an active terminal where disturbance is not acceptable. We don't miss any flights. We ensure that the passenger experience is limited interruption. Noise mitigation and dust mitigation, are key to the customer experience. Sometimes we have to have work that's especially noisy happen on overnights, demolition obviously being one of them, some core drilling, chopping, stuff like that. So make sure that you're carrying contingencies for that, or you're proposing that alternate pricing that includes overnight work for things that may be disruptive, that we may need to exercise that option when buying out the contract. Additionally, Omar touched on it. The Port Authority projects are under the jurisdiction of the QAD, not the DOB. Very similar rules. Holt has a lot of experience in working with the QAD, and will help guide our subcontractors to ensure they avoid any pitfalls. But being familiar with QAD and their requirements are not always the same as Department of Buildings.
Wonderful. Okay, so now on to our final question. We've gotten through our estimate, we've submitted it. Now, if you don't get the job, should you request a post-bid review? Jason, can you take that one for me?
Definitely. It helps you become more involved in the process. You get to meet the estimators and the teams that you're looking to work with. And it helps you to point out some of your deficits or possible deficits. It could be cost. Your price may be too high, and see how you can become more competitive. It could be M or WBE requirements that hurt them be getting a job. So maybe they can work on that. It could also be manpower. We need to do this job in a certain amount of time, and unfortunately the company may not be able to man it for what we're looking to do. So, but they won't get that information if they don't communicate with us and sit down, and we are more than happy to give them that information, because the better, stronger our sub base is, the better Holt is as a builder.
Wonderful. So thank you all, my panelists, for helping us out with this today. And now we're going to go over to the live Q&A and answer some questions. Hi, everybody, and thank you for attending our session on how to bid. So now we're going to jump into some questions that we're getting. So this first one I'm going to throw over to you, Rob, and it's, do all contractors and their subs need to be 100% union? Is this prevailing wage or a PLA job?
Yes, 100% union. As far as PLA, I think that's a project-specific requirement that we would include in our bid packages for subcontractors.
Okay, and I believe this job is not going to be PLA. And just because this job is union doesn't mean you can't pre-qual with us to work on other jobs if we do have non-union work. So feel free to still reach out to us in order to get on our bidders list for any future work. Okay, my next question is this session related to professional creative services suppliers in some capacity? If not, at what point will there be communications or opportunities for professional creative services, mainly video related? I can take that. So Right now, I don't believe we have video related items, although professional creative services definitely reach out to us. And if we do have scope, we'll handle that. I would encourage you though, no matter what, to reach out to info T8 at rfwconsultants.com, because even if we don't necessarily need video services, URW or the consultants or other people on the job might need that, and they'll pass you along to the right people. Okay, next question. Is there any hands-on help or guidelines for a new applicant, or I assume a new sub pre-qualing? Jason, could you take that one?
Yes, you will work with us along with our contracts department, and we will help you along every step of the way. That we finances, safety, litigation, if you have any of that in the past. So you would come in to us, we would refer you to contracts, and we would be able to check your process through trade tap. But I would also suggest coming down to the office, meeting the team, so that we know who you are. So once you are pre-qualified, we can put you on a list and invite you to bid on these projects that we have.
Wonderful. Next question. I noticed that SST requirements were not mentioned. Do workers require SST since this is not a DOB jurisdiction? Omar, could you take that one for me?
Yeah, usually the supervisor needs to the SST.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is I requested the pre-qual application and have not received it yet. So I would encourage you, email info T8 at rfwconsultants.com. Tell them that exactly. You requested a pre-qual with Holt. You haven't received it yet. They'll get that to us and we will make sure we get that over to you. So just email them again if you already have, and we'll make sure we get that over to you as soon as possible. Okay, next question. I see the focus of these presentations is tailored for construction subcontractors. Do you see a future need for architectural services on this project? Rob, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So the design for the initial works has already been complete. However, there will be several tenant stores, restaurants, retail coming up that will require professional design services. Those are going to be individually procured by the vendor coming in. So those opportunities, definitely email info T8 so you can get on the list, and those will be shared with the tenants as they sign up for the spaces. So they'll be, reaching out for design services when they're available or when they're ready.
Wonderful. And I would also encourage you to go to the website, the new JFK T8.com. There is a form on there where you could fill it out and put your areas of interest. So you'd mark off architectural services, and then they'll make sure that you'll get on the list to go out to the new vendors coming into the concession spaces. Okay, next question. As a software and IoT hardware provider, is there any unique requirements you would like to see in our bid? Jason, is there anything you could provide for software and IoT hardware providers?
No, I mean, when your proposal comes to us, we're looking at your scope, we're looking at the price, and we're looking to level you off compared to the scope that we've taken off. We're not looking for any designs or your quantity takeoffs in particular if you're dealing with OST. Just the scope of the job, the fact that you acknowledge the drawings or any addendums that came in, you acknowledge that. And if there's a site visit, that you acknowledge that you went there. That's what we're looking for with your price.
Wonderful. Okay, so the next question is, when will the documents be available for review, and who can we contact to receive the documents? I assume this would be the bid document. So Rob, do you know the timeline on when those will be released?
I think that may be better suited to Jason. I know that we have an upcoming package coming out for the pre-works. Jason, do you have a date on when that'll be available?
No, I don't have a date yet. As soon as we get a date, we put it on Building Connected. And then from there, any sub that we invite or allow to, can come in. If there's someone that we don't know at this point, they're more than welcome to send me their email, their profile, their company, so that we can put them on the list. So once the drawings are ready, we can send it out to them.
Yeah, and I would encourage you to just make sure you reach out to pre-qual with us, because if you're pre-qualified, we'll make sure you're on the bid list for when that goes out. And just keep checking out the website, the new JFKT8.com. We'll update that, as well as during these sessions. We'll keep you updated on when the bid packages are coming out. This next question, who would you contact for a soft contract? Not even 100% sure what that means. I don't think we don't give out anything before we actually award the work. So I think your best bet, unless any of you think I'm missing something, is to make sure you get on our pre-qual list, pre-qual with us, and then you'll be on the list to get the bid packages when they come out.
And if they mean by soft contract, by design, that would be the designer themselves. So.
Got it. So yes. So, and if that's the case, go to the new JFKT8.com, fill out the form and write what you're interested in, and they'll make sure the consultants RFW will make sure they get you to the right person for that type of scope of work. Okay, next question. Are there going to be any engineering, design, or construction management opportunities available? Rob, I think you touched on that a little bit, but can you just touch on that again?
Yeah, sure. Engineering and design would be hired directly by the tenants that are coming in. So again, opportunities on the new JFKT8.com. Check those out. Make sure that you're emailing the consultants as well. Let them know what services that you provide. And you know, obviously they'll get those into the right hands.
Right. Okay, how do you count manpower while bidding? Do they consider more manpower than planned to mitigate risk? Jason, could you take that one?
Basically, we're looking for you guys to hit a certain schedule. If you have 20 guys, you feel you need 20 guys to be on site, or 15, that will be up to you. And we would, with our operations team, just making sure that you can hit specific times, time periods, to make sure that we hit our end goal to be on time, to be a properly project built.
Wonderful. Okay, next question. Are there any BIM requirements for their project? And if so, are there any trades that need BIM VDC services? Rob, do you know if there'll be any BIM requirements?
Currently, there's no BIM requirements on this.
But I would encourage you to
Absolutely.
fill out the form on the new JFK T8, because even if we don't necessarily require it, some of the concessionaires may require it, or their architects, engineers. So definitely fill out that form so you can get on the list for anybody else. Who should we speak with about getting pre-certified with Holt? So I'll take that one. For that, you're going to want to email info.t8@rfwconsultants.com. Let them know. They're going to get your information over to us, and we're going to get you an email out with the information on how to pre-qual with us. And then once you do that, you'll start going through the pre-qualification package. If you have any questions, you'll reach out directly to us. And I would also encourage you to watch back our session from last week on the pre-qual, which goes through kind of step-by-step what's needed in that process. Okay, approximately when will we find out what the exact scopes of work are and work packages for this project? Do Rob or Jason, do you know approximate dates on when we're going to have the release of the packages?
Not at this time.
Okay, yeah, so I would just, again, it's going to be coming soon, so just stay up to date on the website. Fill out the form so you get on the email list, check the website, come back to these sessions once a week, and we will keep you updated on when that's going out. Okay, I own a sign company and we're not a union shop, but can signage be fabricated by us but installed by another vendor that is union? Would we have to provide that union installer, or would you set that up? Omar, have you ever had a situation like this?
Yeah, we usually deal with MWBE or DBE vendors that is non-union. However, the installation needs to be union. Do we introduce you? We can give you some names, but officially you need to get the installers or joint venture with some installer, but the contract will be in your name. So all the responsibility is going to fall under you.
Okay, next question. We provide and install all types of custom window treatments. We're certified MWBE with the Port Authority. but we're non-union. Are there any needs for our trades? And if so, can we be just a supplier of products, which I think is kind of what Omar just touched on. You certainly can. You will need to pair up with a union installer. We can certainly, again, give you some names or if you know people. But yeah, you would need to pair with someone who would actually do the install that is a union company. When do you think signage, bid packages, temporary and permanent will be issued? Again, not sure on the timeline yet. We're still waiting on final drawing. So stay up to date on the website and at these sessions, and we will keep you updated as soon as we know when those bid packages are going out. Who is responsible for employee physicals, drug testing, etc.? They're a provider of medical care on site, such as workers' comp. Rob, do you know who's taking care of all that?
I actually don't. I think Omar might be better suited for that one. Do you
So,
have any
yeah,
insight to it?
for the drug testing, we do sometimes random drug testing, but also when they do like the, I think the SWAC or the SIDA, they will need some, from the Port Authority, they will need some documentation.
Okay, so again, that's something I would say, go to the website, fill out the intake form, you'll check off what you're interested in, and they will get you to the right people. We are obviously working on one part, but there's many moving parts in this project. So if we don't need you, there's most likely somebody else along this supply chain that will need you. We don't see Holt's pre-qual invite link on our trade tab. We were emailed a notification a few days ago. So I would say, for that specific type of a question on your pre-qual, email Holt at JFK T8 at holtcc.com, and we will look into it. We'll get Trade Tap or Building Connected's IT services involved if we need to. So just send an email directly to us and we will look into that for you. Do you require your subs to be bonded? Jason, do you want to take that one?
Not normally. We carry our bond for our project because we do understand that limits us a great deal if we're requiring bonds on these projects. So we normally carry the bond ourselves, especially trying to hit the MWBE requirements by Port Authority.
And I think if there was a special case where we required subs to be bonded, we probably issue that with the bid packages. So you guys would be able to include that in your costs.
Exactly.
Okay, are professional services such as quality assurance or construction inspections included in having to be part of a union? Omar, do you know?
No, no, engineering services or quality assurance doesn't need to be a union.
Okay, yep, so you do not need to be union for that, so you are all set. Okay, if we are already pre-qualified with Holt, how would we receive the invitation for bidding? Would you guys send us an invite to create our account on Building Connected? Thank you. Yes, if you already pre-qualified with us, that means you already have a Building Connected account. And then I believe, Jason, when you guys are bidding, you just add them to the bid list and they would be a part of the bid package, right?
Yes, but please send me an email so that we know that you're interested in bidding on this, so we can make sure that you're on these lists for the specific trade that you guys are interested in.
Okay, the next question is, what is the best way to reach Mr. McKay to ensure I'm on the bid invitation list? I would say send us an email at info.t8@holtcc.com. This way we can make sure that we add everybody onto the bid list for Jason. Can you provide the email of who to reach out to for the bid packages? Again, yeah, go to info.t8@holtcc.com. Send us an email. We will make sure you're on the list, and always as a default, info.t8@rfwconsultants.com. You can reach out to them for anything and they will make sure they get your information to us or anybody else. What are the escort requirements? Are subcontractors responsible for the costs of escorting in the secured areas? Rob, do you want to take that one?
Yes, so everyone that comes into the space either has to have SWAC clearance, which is their ID card that's issued by the Port Authority, or they have to be escorted. We typically prefer trades provide escorting costs, but we carry escorting costs in our general conditions as well. That's something that we would have to take into consideration when we're reviewing your bid and doing the buyout.
Yeah,
Okay.
we also encourage
Go
all
ahead.
the trades to get the SIDA. So if you have a SIDA, you don't need escorts. In some of the smaller projects, we require the subs to have the SIDA, because if we have a bigger project, basically we cannot afford all the escorts. So
Great. Can you please provide the contact information to present materials for tile stone terrazzo? We're a specifier and are looking to present for design selection. So for that, I would encourage you to go to the new JFKT8.com, fill out the intake form, let them know what you're interested in. They will get you to the right person, and always as a default, info t8@rfwconsultants.com. Do you need site safety management consulting firm and environmental services? Rob, do you know if there'll be any specifications for that on this job?
Probably not the environmental, but definitely the site safety. So that might be something that we need to get outsourced on.
Okay.
So definitely email us and let us know what you guys do.
Great. And yeah, again, if you fill out that intake form on the new JFK T8 site, you can check off multiple options, and then RFW will make sure that, you know, if part of what you're doing applies to Holt, we'll get it. And then also if there's someone on the concession side that also needs your information, they will get it as well. Okay, next question. I'm pre-qualified with Holt. Are there opportunities outside of the JFK project? 100%. If you're pre-qualified with us, you could work on any work with us, whether it's at the airports, outside the airports, just in New York City, etc. So if you want, you could send an email to jfkt8@holtcc.com, so we could just ensure that you are pre-qualified and you're on our bid packages. But yeah, once you're pre-qualified with us, you can work on any project that we have. Okay, next, will there be any rain screen or exterior panelized cladding work on this project? Rob, do you know if there'll be anything like that?
Probably limited.
Okay, so again, in those cases, the new JFK.com, fill out the intake form. So like I said, if we need it, we get it. But if one of the concessionaires or the airport needs it, they also get it. I just want to repeat our Holt email again, because I did say it wrong in the beginning. So it's just jfkt8@holtcc.com. Okay, so that's going to be to directly reach out to us. In most cases, you're going to want to go ahead and email info.t8@rfwconsultants.com. And they will be able to guide you whether, you know, it's needed for our construction, the concessions, the client, etc. What are the requirements for the MWB and WBE for this terminal? Rob, do you have that information?
I believe it's 20% M, 10% W. I'm correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
2% veteran and DBEs.
DB, right.
Yep. And then we're also trying to get as much local as we can too. We are always looking to exceed our goals. So no matter what the goals are, we are looking to exceed that. Can I have Jason's email, please, so I can send him an email for being added to the bidders list? So I will give out Jason's email and he will yell at me later if he needs to. It's J McKay, so JMCKAY@holtcc.com. Did we say that the Port Authority will be providing the SWAC cards? Omar or Rob, do you know if that's the case?
Yeah, so basically you have to apply to the Port Authority. There is an application you apply for, and they will provide this white card. Yes.
Great.
But it's an
And-
application, you know, they have to submit a full application.
Yeah, it
Got
comes
it.
to the
And-
subcontracted company reaching out to the Port Authority to set that up directly. Additionally, with the SIDA card as well. SWAC is the first step into getting the SIDA, but SIDA badging is what I meant to say earlier regarding accessing the terminal. That's something that is very beneficial for your workers to get.
And the port is very responsive. So if you go to their website having trouble figuring things out, just email their email address on the website and they will get back to you. Is there a need for LiDAR services on this project? Or Rob, do you know if that will be a need?
I don't.
Okay, so again,
It's minimal. I don't think it will be. In some cases it might, but it's very minimal.
yeah, so in that case, I would encourage you to reach out to get pre-qualified because like I said, if it's not on this job, there might be another job we need that for. And also just get on the, the info list at the new JFK T8 website. So if another contractor is in need of that, they could pass your information along. Okay, next question. I am an MWBE Local 639 union company. We specialize in welding, fabrication, piping, and HVAC. Are there any other opportunities for my company? So I would say, make sure you're pre-qualified with us. So reach out. And then once again, if you pre-qualify with us and there's nothing on this project in particular, we have tons of other projects going on across New York, New Jersey, upstate New York that we can get you on as well. So even if you don't get on this job, there's plenty of opportunities to work with Holt, and we're always looking to get new subcontractors in. What is the extent of roofing on the project? Rob, do you know that?
It's probably going to be mostly patching and penetrations.
Great. Jason, this one's for you. Can someone review my bid with me before I submit it?
Yeah, anytime you have a question, you can always send an RFI or reach out to us by phone and we'll discuss, what you are missing, where you feel uncomfortable with. I'm not going to give you a number. You have to come up with that yourself. I don't want to be liable for your price or being too bad, not being able to hit the price you want, but I can definitely walk you through the scope and the schedule that we're looking for. Any RFIs you have, we definitely will answer them.
Right. What are the long lead items and how will that affect my estimate? Should I include that in my bid? Jason, could you take that one?
Definitely. Well, long lead items are specific materials. It could be an HVAC unit for mechanical guys. It could be panels for electricians or lighting. Sometimes it's a tile, a specified tile that's out that the client or architect is looking for. So it depends. It won't be drywall or studs or anything like that. But for some specialized trades, there are some materials that may be long lead, which we would need to know upfront so that we can that will affect our schedule.
So you just want to include that in your bid if you find any of the items are long lead. So
definitely.
What site conditions could affect project delivery or create delays? Omar, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sometimes depends on if it's an airside project. You have a couple of trucks in front of you, so it might be delaying like an hour or so. For these reasons, like we always say, you have to be on time specifically and just expect an hour or two delays in deliveries.
And
Of the airport.
I would add that access is an issue, especially with non-badged workers coming into the space that require escorting. That's a huge benefit of getting the site as being able to come into the space without having to go through the LSOC access check vetting, and you don't require escorts. So you lose a lot of time not having SITA. It definitely benefits our trade partners to have that.
And I would say keep an eye out for our sessions in September. We're going to do 2 sessions on the specifics of working in an airport, the intricacies that come with that over other types of work. So keep a lookout for those because we'll dive deeper into these types of subjects. Okay, what safety and health issues on the job site could impact costs? Anyone have any ideas on that one?
No.
I'm not
Standard
really...
safety protocols on construction site, you're working in an active terminal. There's passengers around. We're, barricaded off if we're within an active area, which is typical.
Yes,
so you have to be mindful where we're working.
Exactly. We follow the OSHA 30 also. So for all fall protections and any crew above 25 people, if you have a trade that has more than 25 people, in one time on site, we would require a safety manager from your company.
Great. Okay, Jason, this one is for you. How do I estimate the workforce I'll need for my bid?
Estimate the workforce. Basically, we'll say we need this done in 2 weeks. you have to figure out how many guys you need on site in order to complete this work. That's basically each item of your scope should have a certain amount of manpower that you guys would have to figure out. And from that point on, you put your price of the men per hour with some markup, and that's how you come up with, the cost for your labor.
Great. And this one's for you too. Should I be using an estimating software? And if so, do you have any recommendations?
I don't particularly use them because I find them to be out of whack with the New York market. I use Excel and historical numbers from our past projects. Basically, for a subcontractor, you're looking at the material cost with your markup and your labor, which is how many men you need on site for a specific scope and how long.
Wonderful. And then the last question I'm going to throw to you also, Jason, what are some common project risks that can affect my estimate?
Underestimating your labor is a big one. Understanding the scope, make sure your takeoff is correct, because when you're done with us, you own drawings and specs. Whether you think it takes 100 screws or 10 screws, doesn't matter to me. You're gonna own these drawings when it's all said and done. So please make sure that you have the right scale, the right quantity takeoff, the material cost. Make sure you have an up-to-date material cost. What a price was 6 months ago may not be the price this month. So make sure all that is included in your number. Because once we level you off, you say you have it, you give us your best and final. That's it. You can't, you own this job. You got to sink or swim at that point.
Okay. And Rob and Omar, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would say to break out your labor and materials so that we could see what your labor costs are. That'll give us a good gauge if we are looking at several subcontractors who have submitted bids on the project. If you're carrying the right number, if you're carrying too little, too much, that way we can, maybe help you avoid a pitfall if we're looking into final leveling you. We're not looking at just a lump sum number and trying to figure out what you didn't include in your number.
Great.
Yeah, I'm
Omar,
good. You guys covered it all. So.
Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you, Jason, Rob, and Omar for joining us today. Thank you for everyone for joining. Next week's session, 8/24, same time, same place, is going to be Meet the Holt Construction Project Team. So we're going to meet some of the people working on the project on Holt side, and then someone from URW, and get to know us a little bit better and who to contact for different needs. So again, some of the resources. The new JFK T8.com, extremely helpful, is going to have all up-to-date information, and then info T8@rfwconsultants.com for any questions, needs, or anything you need like that. So thank you again for everyone joining, and have a great rest of your week.